You got the share screen button, AJ. You're good to go. All right, let's give it a second. Bada bing, bada boom. Okay, let's see. Oh, yep, okay. This is why we check. All right, welcome everybody to an all-new episode of GVN Talk. This episode, we will be breaking down Gorr's first look, along with the first look at Marvel Legends' next wave for their figures of the Thor Love and Thunder line. There's some interesting looks here, but before we jump in, I want to introduce my two panelists, starting off with AJ. What's up, AJ?
It's going. It's been a whole 14 hours since we've seen 14 hours. It's been a moment. It's been a moment for me.
Yeah, AJ was punching the air for hours when he first saw it. But next up, the guy who is very much even killed because he's like, I know who the fuck Gorr is. Trevon, what's up, Trevon?
What's up, everybody? Happy to be here. I have no idea I don't know who this person is. These look neat, except for the guy over to the left. But anyway, but other than that, it's cool. Cool. We'll see.
This is why I wanted you here, Trevon, because we're going to talk more than just about Gorr. We're going to talk about everyone's looks here. You can bring that back on in a second, AJ.
Okay.
But yeah, so obviously last night they leaked our first look at the Marvel Legends figures look. Now, I know a lot of people saw just the toy, because for a lot of people, they saw the toy, not the side art, right? So for everyone that saw the toy, they're like, oh, it's just a toy. The movie's going to look so much different. And then someone leaked the side art, and they're like, oh, shit. That might actually be what Gorr looks like in the movie. Now, I will say this. When I look at it, it does visually make me sick. Because the first thing I thought of was, and Trevon, you'll appreciate this. You know who Gorr looks like?
Who?
Remember in the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie when they broke Zordon and he was just laying on that bed?
Yeah.
Stay alive? Fucking looks like dead Zordon or almost dead Zordon.
It does.
And I'm like, oh my God, what the fuck? Like,
so what is, I'm assuming you guys are going to show what he's supposed to look like.
Yes, AJ. No, AJ, I got it. You want me to show it, AJ? I got it.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I already got it up. So this is what he actually is supposed. Oh shit! Nope, that's the wrong one. Hold on. That's what we don't want him to continue to look like. So hold on. So what he's actually supposed to look like, Trevon, is
a badass motherfucker. That's what he's supposed to look
right
like.
there. That's what he's supposed to look like. So you see how the sword is his hand. It's the necromancer sword, so he can form it from his body. So you look at that, and yes, I say all the time, you don't have to look exactly like that, right? But here's my problem with Taika. How good did fucking Surtur look? Surtur looked good. He looked almost exactly like his comic counterpart. So I'm like, how the fuck did you do Surtur good? But then you come here to this, and it's just like, we wanted to go more prosthetics and this and that. No, Taika, no. If you wanted to make Gorr the God Butcher look more realistic, you should not have used Gorr the God Butcher. But I did want to say before I pass it to AJ, I am not mad enough about the look that it hurts any of my my hype for the movie, right? Like, it doesn't derail it. This is still my most anticipated after the Batman. Because, and we'll get to this in a second, but really? I've always wanted to see Thor achieve All-Father status. Because I'm like, there's nowhere really else you could take this character than just ascending him to All-Father. So I'm like, and then I thought, AJ, they were going to go All-Father when they took his eye in Ragnarok. I'm like, well, you're clearly just making a whole nother Odin, right?
Yeah.
And then they gave him his eye back. I'm like, all right, so then you're not doing that. And then we got word Jane's coming back to be Thor. And I'm like, well, you can't call two people Thor. Like, you can't go, oh, you're worthy Thor and you're almighty Thor. Like, no. One of you has to change your name. One of you can't exist as a Thor. So I'm like, what makes most sense is if Thor comes back to Earth to take over New Asgard, and they just call him the Allfather. And he has access to all the power that comes with the title. But AJ, what are your thoughts on the Gorr the God Butcher look? And you can bring it back up to the toy screen. So I just wanted to show Trevon what he's supposed to look like.
Oh, you got to exit out first.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. I don't know why I didn't know that.
Okay, so
right, there we go.
It pissed me off. It really did piss me off the way Gorr looks in this promotional art. I feel like it's a little disrespect, not even a little. It's a lot of a disrespect from the creators of Gorr, Jason, Aaron, and Assad. What is it? Ribic. I probably butchered his name. I'm sorry, but the creators.
Right.
And it's just he doesn't even look like Gorr at all. No physical features look like him. Nothing. This is technically a whole new character look-wise.
Right.
Now, with that said, no matter how pissed I am with the look of it, this is still my second most anticipated Marvel movie to date. Still, I'm just annoyed that he looks At first, I thought he looked like Drax. Did anybody get that?
100%. Yeah, he looked like Drax's father. like if Drax is like, I never knew who my dad was, and then Gorr walks up and it's like, oh, that's your dad.
Yeah, it's stupid. And I did put up a tweet about this, and it got more hype than I thought it would.
You put up a lot of tweets about this, AJ.
Yeah, I had my moment. I had my moment last night.
Yeah.
I had to vent a little bit. I just had to.
A little?
Yeah, a little. just a little bit. But yeah, it's a terrible look for Gorr, especially since we've been pretty comic book accurate with the Phase 4 of Marvel so far, and even the updated looks a little better than the comic book versions as well. So to see this makes me a lot more disappointed in what they decided to make Gorr look like. And you brought this up. Taika brought Surtur in. It looks exactly like Surtur.
Right.
Moon Knight, Khonshu looks exactly like Khonshu.
Yeah.
Now, look, I get it. It's Christian Bale, so he most likely wants to put some type of face to this character,
right? Which
is fucking stupid. I don't care who the actor is. The actor serves the character, not the other way around. And
that's how it should be, but that's not how it works.
What you saying?
That may be how it should be, but that's not how it works.
Yeah,
big name
Hollywood. It's the money that makes things make sense. And
I mean, look, we had it from the start. I can't tell you guys how much it irritates me seeing inside of Tony Stark's hub. Right? I hate it. 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 To me, when you're Iron Man, you're just Iron Man. I only want to see Iron Man. I don't want to see Iron Man from your point of view. I just want to see Iron Man. Right? So I'm like, bro, you spend half the movie with the suit off. Why do you need all of the movie showing your face? Like, relax. We know who you are. We see. So to me, that always bothers me, bro. Always, always, always. But I mean, look, I look at this and I'm just like, unfortunately, AJ, you look at Moon Knight and you go, Khonshu looks as perfect as he does because that was a decision between the showrunners, right? Like they wanted to go fully accurate.
Between the showrunners and Kevin Feige too, but
right. But I always believe Kevin doesn't stand in the way of what someone visually wants a character to look like. I feel like Kevin kind of just goes with it. Because I'm sure the Mandarin probably in early drafts had a way different look than the look that he finalized into. To make him look more Mandarin like. So again, look, they made the decision. They got to live with the decision. That's why I always say if you're filming, it's best to drop the first official look then rather than allowing society to drop it on their own. Because look, you remember when Shazam's costume first was leaked on that the set photo, people were just killing it. And then David dropped the official look, and people were like, okay, I can get with that. Okay, no problem. So I always say every superhero project should have learned from that. You give us our first look. Don't let us stumble across our first look, because people don't relax with their reactions. They jump, right? They jump. It's the worst fucking thing I've ever seen. So it's like the worst fucking thing I've ever seen. It's garbage.
I'm a good example at this point in time right now. I'm a good example.
Like, I'll never see it. And then you'll see it in the flow of the movie. And it's like, okay, I can see. Okay. I mean, look, AJ, I won't, it's not a fair comparison, but how you felt about Gorr, because me and you love Gorr the God Butcher. We were looking forward to this since it was announced. But to me, it's the same way I originally felt about Moon Knight, right? You just taking creative differences on that suit is just so unnecessary. But then, what did I tell you guys? I saw the first 4 episodes. I saw how it played out throughout the story. And I'm like, it does make more sense for it to be like he could summon it rather than he has to go into a phone booth and get dressed, right? Like, it just makes so much more sense. I get it. And I don't have a problem.
That's a different type of creative difference, though. Well, my thing is, at least with Moon Knight, the actual Moon Knight character in the MCU, he has aspects that actually look like Moon Knight in the comics. So that's fine. My issue with this is nothing like there's no aspects of this character design that looks like the comics, which is just so annoying. Because
I will say, no, go ahead, Trevon. No, go ahead.
I'll say you think people feel the same way. How you're sounding right now is how I felt when I first saw Sonic.
I think that's what everybody felt for Sonic too. Yeah,
but I'll say the biggest difference is, Trevon, regardless of how bad you made Sonic look, it was obvious it was Sonic. If this toy released out of box with no name attached, no one would have known that was Gorr.
Yeah,
no one would have known that was Gorr. That's the problem, right? Because even people that saw the name Gorr looked at it and was like, maybe this is like the first form of Gorr or something,
which is something that's irrelevant. There's no different forms of Gorr.
No. I'm saying maybe that's the direction maybe they're doing for the movie. Like, maybe he looks more like Gorr per god he kills. I just have to imagine there's no way Taika looked at the comic version and then just said that's what I'm going with. I have to imagine there must be something else to it. That's all I'm saying.
See, what they're doing with Wanda makes more sense, though. Look, with Gorr, it'll make more sense for him to be more and more demented the more gods he kills, and that will help the symbiote grow within his body.
But also, you have to know, though, AJ, they're not going that route. They're not gonna. It's not gonna be called the Necromancer Sword. I don't think. I don't think they're going that way at all. Yeah. So Trevon, just. Oh no, go ahead, Trevon.
But the Black Knight, we saw how it moved. The sword. We saw how it moved.
Right.
It's not like they're shying away from that. Maybe they will still. I mean, maybe it just looks different. Maybe still the sword comes out the same way. Maybe we should wait until we see it.
Well, if you see the other shot of the figures, like the front facing, it shows the sword is just like a regular sword. And again, that could have just been for the toys. I will give that up. It could just be for the toys. Like I said, I'm not overreacting, but I will not say that AJ is being too dramatic.
Oh no, I have no idea. I don't know.
Yeah, because this isn't. No. I didn't mean for you, Trevon. I just meant for people that might have thought like AJ was like being like too much. The only reason I back AJ is because, again, like I said, if someone had just showed me this toy out of box, I would not have known it was Gorr, and that means you're doing something wrong. Like, it should not look that far off from Gorr. Sure. Taking subtle changes, no problem. Even if you don't want to do the Necromancer, no problem. I could live with that. But it just has to look better than what we're seeing. You know what I'm saying? I don't think we need to overreact, because there's no way Christian Bale is about to give us a bad performance.
Also, let me say this. Let me say this.
Maybe they okay.
Look,
he said they got. Hold on, Mr. E said they got my boy looking like Uncle Fester. God damn. Go ahead.
Overall,
let us know. They're going to push it to 2023. That's it.
I don't know.
I mean,
the way they're marketing, which is no marketing, I can see that happening.
No, they just started. They're not pushing it. You just saw Chris Hemsworth said they started their press tour.
Oh, they have? Okay. I didn't see that.
No, he posted it on Instagram like a few days ago. Him, Taika, and
Oh yeah, I did see that. Okay,
what's her name? Yeah.
But going back to Gorr, I may be very, very, very disappointed of the look, but that doesn't mean I'm gonna just straight up hate the movie.
Right.
I understand that Christian Bale is gonna do a good job and everything, but my thing is that you don't have to sacrifice looks for a performance. You can have both.
I agree.
And what people are arguing is that Christian Bale's gonna do a good job, and he doesn't need to be in all makeup and be CG and all that. And I will argue he either he does have to be in all CG or just get another actor, because there can be multiple other actors that can play this character.
And let me add to that, AJ. So for everyone thinking that, right? Here's my perfect example for you. There is a very thin line in the world we live in of live action looks, right? So you could either go super accurate like Krypton did Brainiac, right? Brainiac looked fucking amazing. Or when you sacrifice, you get a Piccolo that looks like fucking Kazoo, right? In Dragon Ball Evolution. So that's the thin line when people are like, well, you don't always have to look super accurate. Well, if you go by that logic, you're going to tell me you're okay with fucking Piccolo looking like Kazoo in Dragon Ball Evolution? No, right? That looked ridiculous, right? So it's like, again, like AJ said, there's a way to do both. And we've just seen it too many times in the MCU. Like Rocket. He looks just like Rocket. He doesn't look like a fucking regular raccoon. He looks like Rocket the raccoon. Groot looks accurate to Groot. So you don't take these sacrifices anywhere else. So like I said, it's just seeing why Taika made the decision he made. That's all I want to know. That's all I ever want to know.
Also, another good example is freaking Caesar for Planet of the Apes. No one complains about that character, and it gives a good performance.
100%. 100%.
So 100%. You can do both.
Yeah. And look, you got a whole bunch of really good actors to do just mocap. Benedict Cumberbatch was full mocap for the dragon in The Hobbit. So I'm like, I don't want to hear like, oh no, big name actors, they don't do that, but they do. They 100% do. So I mean, look, like I said, I don't want anyone to think this is a video of us trashing this movie or anything like that. Like me and AJ said, it's still in our very high most anticipated for the year. Which all
I know is they better get the character right. I want just moments that just are too savage for any MCU movie.
All right, relax, AJ.
Gorr himself is just a savage. Look, Gorr himself is just a savage character.
You know what? I'll say this. What they're going to do with Gorr is he will be a step above what they did with Hela. So Hela was a savage for MCU standards. Mm-hmm. They'll only go slightly above that. I don't think they'll go any darker than that.
No, they need to go dark.
It depends on what you're asking. Like, what are you asking? Like heads to roll? Like, what are you asking?
Oh, I'm not even talking about like action wise. I'm just talking about like dialogue wise.
Yeah. Then I think they'll for sure do that. Yeah. I mean, I'm just curious because Surtur and Hela were kind of like somewhat goofy in Ragnarok. Not as dark and as serious as I would have loved them to be. So I'm just very curious what Taika's decision making is on Gorr. Again, I'm not knocking Hela or Surtur. They looked fucking amazing. I still don't understand why Hela had to be a child of Odin rather than Loki's daughter. I don't think I'll ever understand that.
That's what you're supposed to be?
Say it again.
I didn't know that. Oh, okay.
Yeah, Hela is Loki's daughter. Because she's the goddess of death. And she just
love that movie, but there's so many decisions in that movie that just
I agree
annoy the hell out of me.
Yeah, I was like, this is very unusual decision to make. You destroyed
the thing is that even now people are confused that the necro sword from Hela is not derived from the necro sword from Gorr, and people are saying that it is, which is.
But to be fair, it looks like Hela utilized her swords the way that we expect Gorr to utilize his sword. So there were some similarities, but Trevon, just like a little, I don't want to say history lesson, but like a little background on Gorr. So that sword came from Venom's planet. That is a symbiotic sword. AJ, what's his name? Null. Null. He stole that from Null. Okay. So at the end of Venom 2, remember when Venom was saying, like, you know, there's more to my story, right? Yeah. He was speaking of his home world where the ruler Null was the creator of all symbiotes. So that's where the necromancer sword comes from. Gorr the God Butcher stole it. So that's why I said they're not going to go that route. Not even a little bit. We just saw the symbiote enter the MCU. I don't think they're going to be able to go that deep. And Feige did give Sony a big FU when they kicked Tom Hardy out of the MCU. So the likelihood of Sony letting them use Null is slim to none. So they're clearly not going to go that route. That's why I said, AJ, there's going to be a lot of sacrifices for this character. That's why I think the sword, look at the way he's holding it in that picture.
Yeah,
that sword's the sword is going to be very different. Everything about the character seemingly is going to be different. But to me, AJ, the most important thing I need them to have is Gorr's reasons, right? So, Trevon, the reason why Gorr started to hunt down gods was when his family was killed. He was a man of faith, and was looking to the gods, and none of the gods helped him. None of the gods answered. So he took that very personally and made it his job to kill every possible god. And what he did was, what did they call it, AJ? The God bomb?
Yeah, God bomb, yeah.
Yeah, so he made this God bomb that when it explodes, it will essentially incinerate all gods. So I'm like, that whole story arc of Gorr is fucking beautiful. Like, it's a great story. It's ultimately a revenge story. So I'm like, as long as they stick to the vein of that, I can kind of get around this. You know what I'm saying? I can get around this. It's only one movie. They're not going to do the full arc that I would have loved. AJ, you know, Thor had 3 daughters, 3 different versions of Thor. Like, that whole storyline was crazy.
It was so good.
It was insane. Go ahead, Trevon.
Is this any this is my not knowing anything. So is this connected anyway to the Black Knight at all? Like the sword, like
no.
It's not.
No.
Okay.
No. So the Black Knight sword is actually connected to Blade. Blade, Dracula.
Yeah. Okay.
That's really where that not mythology, but where that story kind of goes. That's why I said it was very weird that his sword was reacting that way. Like, it was kind of like reacting
symbiotic. Almost right. Like symbiotic. Yeah.
It was very weird they did that. And I'm like, all right, there's like a line. There's a line you could connect between that sword and the history of where the necromancer sword comes from. But I just don't think they're going to do that. So we don't have to keep spending all this time on Gorr. I want to talk about some of these other great looks. Thor. So the Thor look, not the one in the middle. That's AJ. What is that fake Thor's name? It's driving me crazy. He had the jacket with the Thunderstrike. Fuck yeah. Thunderstrike. That's the name of the character, the fake Thor. He wasn't like legit a fake Thor. Thor was kind of like his idol. So he kind of had like this mallet or this mace that was like Thor's hammer. But anyway, that is the inspiration for that middle look of Thor, where you see him in kind of like the t-shirt and jeans. Thunderstrike is really the inspiration for that look, which is a deep cut. I love Taika doing that. That's fucking perfect.
Okay, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
You see where I'm coming from?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So the other Thor I want to talk about is the Thor in obviously his Asgardian armor. I really do hope that, knowing that Jane becomes the new Thor, right? Not female Thor. Taika said that at San Diego Comic-Con. She is just Thor, not female Thor, just Thor. So I'm like, if she's gonna be Thor, I kind of want, the Thor that we know. I kind of want him to become the All-Father. You give him access to that power. He's the All-Father. He stays on Earth to take care of New Asgard. And you allow the new Thor to kind of be more so galactic. She kind of handles the way bigger picture things because she's the new active Thor. Thor has to stay on Earth to take care of his people. I kind of hope they go that route because that's what this armor looks like. If you look at his armor really quickly, you can't tell me this doesn't remind you of Odin's armor. Looks just like Odin. So I'm I kind of want him to send the All-Father.
He was wasn't he tapping into Odin, like when he was like getting beat up, and he was like he kept seeing Odin, and then he wasn't. Power boost.
He wasn't tapping. He wasn't tapping into Odin. Odin was just letting him know that he's relied on his hammer for too long. The power isn't the hammer. You're the power. The hammer is just a conduit. Like it's a way to kind of point your power. So it was Odin kind of just giving him a pep talk. But I do know one of the versions of Thor that fought Gorr in that comic run was very OP, like strong as shit. So I'm like, I need to see Thor evolve, right? Kind of feel like he's been on one level, then Ragnarok ascended him to another level. Now I need to see him surpass that level. That's why I want to see him as All-Father. But AJ, what are your thoughts on this new look for Thor?
I like it. I like his new look. I like the armor look of it. I just like how he's prepared for war, basically, which basically is what Thor is. So to see this gets me even more excited, despite the Gorr look. I actually am excited for this because of how Thor looks like in this. So yeah, I'm excited for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me answer some of these questions here. Is that two different versions of Thor, or is one of those Jane? One of those is Jane. I think Thor in the yellow armor is his new armor. Yes, Sith Morrison. And look at my boy Groot. Yeah, Groot. Let me say this, AJ. It's always bothered me with James Gunn's portrayal of Groot.
James Gunn.
Yeah, James Gunn. When he did Baby Groot, my favorite comic version of Groot is where he's in the flower pot, right? He's small in the flower pot, a little adorable, and then he can expand himself out of that flower pot. I've always loved that look because there's nothing more adorable than seeing Rocket run around with Groot in a little fucking flower pot. I just visually love that look, and I'm like, damn, I wanted that look, but I also wanted Groot to not be a teenager anymore. That was something that worked for what they needed for. Yeah, and then get me the fuck out of that. Like that, no more of that.
Yeah, he's been teenage Groot for way too long at this point.
Way too long. Yeah, I'm like, because to me, AJ, you either go one or two ways. You go baby Groot or adult Groot. You don't ever give me teenage Groot. I don't ever need to see that shit ever. Especially when you barely use them. Like he legit was in Infinity War just to make Stormbreaker. Like he really served no other purpose in that movie. Obviously the Guardians of the Galaxy were there, so that's why he was there. But come on, let Groot do more. Like let Groot really go all out. You know what I'm saying? But Trevon, what are your thoughts on our new look at the new armor for Thor?
I think it looks really cool. I don't know. I can't wait to see it in action, I guess. Thor is always interesting to me because he doesn't really need armor. It's just cool that he wears it. Yeah, I don't know. I enjoy like his power up that he has. So like since he's had since I guess since Ragnarok, really. I've been enjoying it. I can't wait to see what he does more. I can't wait to see how the main thing I'm curious about this movie is how they explain Jane. Like how they explain.
What do you mean?
How they explain her coming back. How do they explain all this? Like I think that's a cancer or something. That's what I heard or watched or something.
Well,
but it's like
in the comic, she did have terminal cancer, and the hammer found her, and gave her the power of Thor. But what's very interesting about Jane is she works just like Deadpool. So you remember how in the movie, when they put the collar on Deadpool and he couldn't heal anymore, the cancer came back. So when she's not Thor, she still has that cancer. Like the cancer doesn't just disappear and she could just live like a regular life. When that hammer's not in her hand and she's not wielding the power of Thor, she goes back to Jane, who's still sick.
Which makes it worse, actually. Every time she uses the power of Thor, it gets worse after she gets back to it.
Right. Because there was a point where she tried to give it back to Thor. And you just see her like all sick and everything, and it was killing Thor. And he was just like, no, it shows you. Which is funny because that storyline where she becomes Thor, Trevon, is where Thor first got his axe. So that is when he went with that axe look, is because she had the hammer. So I thought it was really interesting because I tell people all the time, there's no way we could get Beta Ray Bill now. And they're like, why not? I'm like, well, Thor has Stormbreaker. And they're like, well, he could just have Thunderstrike's weapon. I'm like, that to me is dumb as shit. If you give him Thunderstrike's weapon, then it's like, well, just don't do it. Just no, there's no need. Because you could have waited to give Thor the axe till now. But yeah, I think they're gonna do it to where, remember how Jane had the ether inside her body? I think they're gonna go the route of an Infinity
that gave
Stone
her cancer.
Is nothing but gamma radiation. So that's probably what made her sick. And if you look at the set photos, they put the pieces of Mjolnir on New Asgard, right? So I think something's going to happen to her, either where she touches it or something like that. It assembles and you kind of see it all broken up, but it assembles back and then chooses her to be the new Thor.
So if the ether gave her cancer because she's not supposed to be affected with Infinity Stones, then how come other people didn't? The same thing that happened to them because they're mutant.
Who's the other people?
Captain Marvel, Wanda, Monica, all of them. They're mutants. That's why.
Well, to be fair,
Captain Marvel's not a mutant.
I think she is in the MCU.
What? No way she's a mutant.
I do in MCU. I think she is, but that's just me.
That would be very unnecessary because the movie explained it pretty comic accurately. To where she was just exposed to the radiation. The radiation could have cancer. Well, also remember the radiation could have different effects on different people. Remember, Stark just immediately died when he was exposed to all those Infinity Stones. Neither is Jane, Trevon, and she didn't die or get any powers. She didn't get any powers.
Yes, right. She got cancer.
That's not a superpower, Trevon.
It's not a mutant.
Cancer,
it hurts her.
Power.
It hurt her. That's why she got cancer. It hurt her.
Oh my goodness.
Her getting ability.
You do know we will get mutants, right? Like we don't have to manifest mutants, like actual.
They got to figure. I can't see that. I just don't still how they're gonna figure it out. I can't wait.
Well, stop trying to force new mutants.
It doesn't make sense. That's what makes sense to me. That's what I'm saying. That's how I justify them having power.
Well, okay. Well, you know what? Let me say this. You're absolutely right narratively. But that's my issue when I tell you that's why it's very difficult to be a comic book fan and then see some of the things Kevin Feige does. Because Wanda, because remember, because they didn't have the rights to the Fox stuff, how Wanda got her power had to be cosmically. But she was born a mutant, right? So now they're starting to retcon that. That's why I said what you're saying won't really apply to Wanda going forward. Because even though WandaVision made it seem like the Infinity Stone gave her power, what they're saying is it activated her power. So the power was always within her, the mutant gene, and it activated it. So that's what I'm saying.
All others are mutants as well, and they got activated as well by Infinity Stone energy. That's what I'm going with.
That would have to mean that they've always been here, and I think that's
exactly how I think they're gonna do it.
I don't think you'll be able to do that because that's a difficult story to spin. Because Xavier and Magneto had to have been around since like the 60s.
I have a different theory on the X-Men. Oh my god!
Go ahead.
I have a different theory on the X-Men.
Let us know.
All right, so I do believe that the X-Men or the mutants are already still there. They just choose to ignore human. Basically, what they're doing in the comics right now, I feel like is going to be adapted into the Marvel world, where they have their own island already. So they already been established.
Yes,
I
I'm
haven't
with you
been to
there.
those screens.
Yes.
So
Yeah. I said that for forever because you could just do Genosha.
Mhm.
You could do that. You could say, because in the comics, Trevon, the events of Civil War were started because of mutants. That's originally what started it. It was a mutant accident with children on a bus and everything, and that's what sparked the Civil War. So I was saying you could say that that there was an original Civil War that happened between Shield and Xavier and Magneto, and the agreement was there will be no further engagement, but you have to leave. And that's when Magneto and Xavier created Genosha, where mutants can live in peace, no human interaction. They just live amongst their own people. So if they want to go that route, I'm fine with that. But what you cannot do is say that mutants were created from the Infinity Stones. If you do that, that then means Charles Xavier and Magneto are in their 20s or 30s, and they're just becoming it. Part of what made Charles and Magneto special is what they had to go through. They had to go through the Holocaust. You know what I'm saying? So I was saying if you wanted to, you could do a 60s version where they're black and they went through civil rights. But either way, they can't just get their powers now, is what I'm trying to say. That backstory needs to be there. That's part of them. Whether it's civil rights because they're black or it's the Holocaust because they're Jewish, whichever way you want to go, that history needs to be part of them. That's what carved them, right? That's what made Charles the way he was. That's what made Eric the way that he was. So I'm like, that's very important.
A movie in what you said, the 60s or something like that. They could absolutely do that.
Yeah.
And they could still absolutely get activated from Infinity Gems.
No, I'm saying the activation should be very limited, because then it becomes like, all right, you're giving more credit to the Infinity Stones making them mutants than the fact that they were just born mutants. So I'm like, if you want to use that for Wanda because you had to retcon things, fine. If you want to use that for Miss Marvel because you don't have Inhumans yet and you want to retcon that, fine. It should not just be given out to everybody, because then it just becomes like, well, why are you straying so far away from the original story that you don't have to stray away from? You own the rights now. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't need to see
too late.
A Wolverine. No, we don't know anything about the X-Men. That's why it's not too late. We know that it's just Wanda's story. That's the only one we know that that's the story for so far. So I'm like, I'm fine with that because you had the retcon thing. So I can live with that. But let's see what some of these comments are saying before we go on. Let's see. What If missed out on a lot of cool concepts. They sure did. I didn't watch What If. I was hoping Thor would have his ultimate look from the Ultimate. Okay, Mr. E, let me say why me and you have been friends for years, and that's why. Thor is the only fucking hero in the MCU that's not his ultimate counterpart, and it irks my soul because so Trevon, in case you don't know the Ultimate comics, Ultimate Thor was an environmentalist. So he was very hippie. His armor was more reserved. Actually, AJ, if you could pull up the Ultimate Thor's look. So his armor was more so just like a regular suit with just like the, you know how his suit now has like the orbs on the chest? That was it. He just had pants and a shirt. Not a shirt, but it was no armor is what I'm trying to say. There was no armor. And his Mjolnir actually is what Stormbreaker looks like.
Oh.
So that's what his hammer looked like. It had a, right there, AJ. Yes, so that's the Ultimate Thor. So you see how his hammer looks just like Stormbreaker does right now?
Yeah.
So that's what he looked like. But he left the Avengers to go be an environmentalist. So he would be, he'd be on the water trying to do stuff for the animals and whatnot. Actually, why am I explaining this to you? You played the Avengers game. That's exactly what he was like. So you know how he always had the shirt and the pants and he never was like in full armor? That's essentially what the Ultimate Comics did with Thor a lot. Is he didn't usually wear this armor a lot. He just was in regular getup. That's just how Thor was. So I'm with you, Mystery. I love that you said that because no one else ever agrees with me. Let's see. Don't pick good topics for most of them. Like one episode is what if Thor was an only child, and it essentially is just an episode where Thor has a party.
Hey, where did what if hate come from? where did that come from?
I don't know. Shout out to Jamie. Jamie's initiating it in the chat. But bring the toy setup up again, AJ. I want to finish it out by us talking about Jane. Because Jane's look is very accurate to the comics. I mean, crazy accurate to the fucking comics. It's ridiculous how accurate she is.
There we go.
I really appreciate her accuracy. Because Taika did not hold back on that. That suit looks beautiful, bro.
Also, what pisses me off. You get all these characters right.
And
but the main villain? Come on now.
That's fair. That's fair.
Jesus Christ.
That's fair. I mean, that's fair. I mean, look, when Marvel hits, they hit. Like, I still to this day love Ironmonger. I fucking love Ironmonger. Everything about Ironmonger. And then you get to Iron Man 2, and it's like you couldn't decide on one villain. You had to combine it and then do a sucky ass job on your combination. So when they miss, they miss. But when they hit, they fucking hit, bro. They hit. So Trevon, how are you liking Jane's look is the new Thor?
I think it looks great. I like I said, I just can't right now. I really need to see a trailer for this.
Yeah.
Because I just need to see a trailer. Because she's been gone a while. They got some explaining to do for me.
Well, I think Trevon, you know what I think could honestly happen, and it would make all the sense in the world. I could see that the cancer's really it's really, really, really starting to make her sick, where it kind of seems like, maybe it's it's heading towards the end for her. Mm-hmm. And she goes to New Asgard to kind of have like her goodbye with Thor. Yeah. Mm-hmm. She goes to New Asgard to have her goodbye with Thor, only to find out Thor's not there. Mm-hmm. And then you have something to where, she feels like she doesn't know how much longer she has. She goes to the Shrine of Mjolnir to kind of feel like she's having that one last moment with Thor. And then Mjolnir responds to her. And then that's where she becomes Thor. I could see something like that, and that would narratively make all the sense in the world.
It would. Valkyrie's right there, so yeah. It would.
Right. To me, I only need a trailer. If I'm being completely honest with you, nothing about this movie worries me outside of Gorr, right? So I only want a trailer to see what narratively they're doing for Gorr. Nothing else is something that I need to see because I have faith in it already, right? I had faith in it when it was announced. I love the concept. I love where they're going. I love these looks outside of Gorr. I just need that trailer for them to explain to me Gorr. Explain to me Gorr. That's really all my question mark is for this movie. That's really it. I feel the same way with Black Adam. Like, you've already shown me a first look, and I love every fucking thing about it. Now, for a trailer, I need to see more so of the history of the character. Like, he shouldn't be that fucking big as a slave, right? Like, he was very small as a slave, and then when he got the power, he became this big-ass Black Adam. He looks like as a slave, he's already the same size as The Rock in real life. That bothers me, right? Because there is no way to go up. Like, picture if Bruce Banner was already big as shit, and then like he just turned green. It's like, well, what the fuck? What? What is it? What's the difference? Yeah. Like, what's the difference? So narratively, I just want to see why that decision was made. That's all I'm saying. So to me, Thor: Love and Thunder has nothing to explain to me outside of Gorr. Explain Gorr to me. If it feels like it fits narratively for me, no problems. You won't hear me say not another word about Gorr. But that trailer really needs to hit me for Gorr. That's really what I'm looking for.
I feel like they're going to focus more on Jane because I feel like more people are like me, where we have no idea why she's there.
Yeah, I could 100% see that.
Look at this, but it's like, what?
I also think it might be dangerous if you try to lead with the introduction of your villain purely from the movie. Like the trailer should give fans that have no idea who Gorr is some inclination on.
He gonna speak in the trailer now.
Oh, no, 100%.
The voice is important as well.
They're gonna speak in the
voice. So it's important. I don't want no squeaky ass voice.
Well, hold on, AJ. You can't say the voice is important. We've never had
but
an
in my
interpretation
mind,
of Gorr. Yeah, like
but
you've
in
only
my
read
mind,
Gorr.
he needs to have that. What is it? Smog voice. He needs to have
That's
that.
fine. I don't disagree, but I just want to make it clear to people out there. We've never seen Gorr in any fashion outside of the comics. Yeah. So we've never heard what Gorr
it's my head
in the minds. Right. It's your headcanon, right. Which is fine because look, Kevin Conroy has set what Batman should sound like for me. Right? Like every Batman should sound somewhat similar to what he did. Right? So that's headcanon for me. So I don't disagree with you. I just don't want people going, oh, so we've had Gorr utilized somewhere. We have not. So that's just more so the way Gorr looks. And you're kind of like, well, he should have a very terrifying sounding voice. So I don't disagree with you, AJ. I just don't want people to think we saw him before.
Also, to be fair, Khonshu didn't sound exactly what I thought he would sound like in my head.
What did you think Khonshu would sound like?
But I like his voice regardless. So for me, when I was reading Moon Knight, I just always thought he was more of like had a calm, more demeanor to him instead of the sarcastic and annoying side to him.
Well, Khonshu's just always been naturally an asshole. I don't think it's been as aggressive as the show makes it, but he's always been an asshole. But I could see where you're coming from in that. I could see where you're coming from. All right. So Sith Morrison says the MCU has so few great villain designs. Gorr is extremely lackluster. See, I don't know if I necessarily agree with that, Sith Morrison. I've liked more designs than I've hated from the MCU.
I don't know. I think I'm on his side on that.
See,
okay, so we got Thanos, which looked great. We got Hela, who looked amazing.
Right.
We got
Surtur.
Technically, he's like side villain. So are we just talking main villains or just
let's stick with main villains?
Okay, Loki so great. Hela and Thanos. They both look great. Loki, yes, Loki.
Red Skull.
Red Skull, yeah.
Mm-hmm. You also could go. I'm trying to remember movies villains. It's fucking throwing me off.
No, that's about Vulture. Vulture looked okay.
Okay, Vulture looked.
He looked
bro.
He looked okay. To be fair, he does look 100% better than the comic book.
All right, come on now, come on. God damn, bro.
So that's,
really?
That's
come
5.
On. Yes.
That's 5.
Shit.
Zemo.
I'll give you Zemo.
Yeah, Zemo.
I'll give you Zemo. Oh no.
Do we count the Celestials from Eternals?
They weren't villains.
But
yes, they are.
How?
They're not. Yeah, technically they're not villains, but
they're not villains.
They took. Yes, they are.
They 100% are not villains. What are we talking about?
All right, agree with this, Trevon. They're not the main villains of Eternals. We're just talking.
They're not even the side villains. The main villain was the Deviants. The side villain was fucking.
They created the Deviant.
But they also
created all life. They created all life, though, Trevon. They created humans, mutants, deviants, Eternals. They created all of that.
The Black Order. They look cool, even though they were just underutilized.
100% they were underutilized, but they did look. They looked great. Ebony Maw, Cull Obsidian. Yeah, they look great. I'll agree with you on that.
What was the villain in Ant-Man? What's his name?
Okay. Right? All right. Here's my problem with.
It looked good.
Are you talking about Ant-Man or Ant-Man 2?
Ant-Man 2.
Ant-Man 1.
If you're talking Ant-Man 1, I will never give that movie credit for that villain because Yellow Jacket's not a fucking villain. Yellow Jacket is what Hank Pym made for himself when he gave the suit to Scott Lang. Okay. Yellow Jacket was always Hank Pym. So I'm like, them using it as a villain was a creative thing to do. Do not get me wrong.
It looked
but that sticks in my craw. Yes. Yeah. Okay. You know what? That was the conversation. I apologize. Yeah. Yes. Let's put Yellow Jacket on there.
So that's 8.
I loved Ironmonger. I don't care what anyone says. I loved Ironmonger. I really did. Ironmonger looked accurate as shit. Ironmonger looked accurate. That was what's his name? Fuck. It was Iron Man 1. You remember Iron Man 1?
Yeah, but I can't remember what Ironmonger looked
The
like.
big suit?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
See, I was getting confused with Mark 1 and
Okay.
No. Ironmonger was a way larger concept.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nah, I don't know if I like that. I don't like that design.
It looks just like the comic counterpart. If you don't like it, I won't argue that. But he looks just like his comic counterpart.
That's fine. But to me, I'll put that on the list. But to me, I don't really care. So that's 9.
No, you don't have to look. This is your list. If Ironmonger didn't work for you, then he's not on your list.
So this is about villains, right?
So 8.
Yeah, just villains.
Wanda. She was a villain in WandaVision. She was a villain.
No, because the cop was a villain. The cop was a villain.
No, she was too. She tracked all them people. She was a villain. I'll put her in villain category.
She didn't intentionally do it though.
Yeah, but she didn't stop it after she figured out that she was doing it. So
I still believe that cop in.
Listen, I love her. I'm not saying I'm like bad at her. I'm saying I love her.
No. I get what you're saying. I still think though Agatha and that cop were the main villains.
Well, Agatha did. I love her too. I don't know. I like her too.
Agatha looks nothing.
I mean,
like she does in the comics though. She's way younger.
We're comparing it to the comic look.
No.
Just to see how good they look.
How good they look. No, I was just saying that Agatha, they went a way better route than the comics.
Yeah, I only got 8 out of the 24 movies, 25 movies. 25.
All right, bruh. Are you serious? Ego, the Living Planet.
Winter Soldier.
No.
Winter Soldier. Yes. What are you talking about?
Okay, fine. Winter Soldier, yes. Ego, not much. I don't care for Ego.
Bro, the planet was perfect. What are we talking about?
It was perfect. Yeah, it was comic book accurate, but I didn't like the look of it.
It's a planet with eyes. How else could it look?
That's weird. He's a celestial. We got way cooler celestials that's in the MCU now. I don't care.
Oh my God. Okay.
So that's not.
I know we're forgetting movies here.
I'm thinking.
Fuck. Oh, no, because he does look different than his comic counterpart. No, and that was a horrible fucking design. Fuck.
Iron Man.
What?
He was the villain in Civil War.
I
just want to get you mad. He was technically the villain in Civil War.
He was not. He was not.
Team Cap. All right, let's move on.
All right, let's see what else they're saying before we head off here. I don't know how he'll look in action, but to me, he's too human in appearance. I was hoping for something a tad bit more alien or comic accurate. He's not a hard character to do. We agree. We agree, Mystery. Gorr is not
exactly. Why the fuck
not a hard character?
Human? Fuck. Oh God.
I don't know.
That picture so early gave me a little bit of Freezer.
I tell you this: he can't be human hunting down gods. You know what I'm saying? Because unless that sword is just like, I don't know. I don't want to think too much about it. I want to just let the trailer explain Gorr. I want the trailer just to explain.
I know this isn't true, but right now I'm just going to say that this is Drax. That's what I'm going to say right now.
This is not Drax.
It's Drax.
Don't confuse people. That is not Drax. That is not Drax. No, it is not. Look, like I said, how they utilize it is what'll be important. Because look, I originally didn't love the concept of Penguin. Till I saw it play out, and I'm like, yeah, it's fucking brilliant. Like it reminds me of the Alex Ross. But that original look was just like you're doing too much. Like you just didn't have to do all that. I was even fine with the concept of Colin Farrell looking like Colin Farrell and being Penguin, based off of the Telltale games. I was like, is that something so drastically new and different? I would have been fine with that. But they gave us the look they gave us, and I love it. I ended up loving it. So to me, I don't think there's a world where I'll ever love this look of Gorr. I just believe there will be a world where I will not look at it and want to throw up. That's what the upside is for me. That's really all I can give it. If I can look at you and not want to throw up.
This movie, it can be very, very high on my list, or it can be very, very low.
AJ, I will tell you
already
this.
very low on my list, though.
I will tell you this, AJ. There's no way on God's green earth that this movie will ever be worse than Thor: The Dark World.
We'll see.
There's no conceivable way. No conceivable way. Because I left that movie not even fucking liking Thor. Like, that movie was so bad for everybody. I left that shit going, yo, is there any way we could just do a Loki movie next? Like, no Thor, no Odin, just give Loki a movie. And then, boom, they gave us Ragnarok. No. They gave us Ragnarok before that. We got Ragnarok, and that should have been the last time we saw Loki. But anyway, Ragnarok was perfect. It reinvented Thor, and I loved it. I love that movie just for Thor. So to me, it's like there's no way this movie will be bad in the sense of there's nothing I like from it. I don't think it could do that. I don't think Taika has that in it. I can agree with most of the ones you guys mentioned. You know what, Sith Morrison? We'll do a list of the best and worst looks in MCU history. We'll do that because I want to be able to sit and look through all the different villains and heroes again. Because I put us on the spot, so that's really difficult. But I can tell you this: I enjoy more than 9 out of the 30-something fucking villains we got. I don't know what the fuck AJ is talking about. 9 out of like 30.
9 out of like 25.
Bro, there's been like 30 MCU movies. There's a villain per movie. What the hell are you talking about?
Like, there hasn't been that many yet. There's been like
you
26.
Agree? There's been 30 MCU movies. I agree with what, Trevon?
So you agree there is a villain in Civil War?
Yes, and it's clearly Baron Zemo. What are you talking about? I don't understand. what is the conversation Zemo we're having here? I don't understand. Like, look, if you want to say Stark or Cap is a villain, that's a matter of opinion. But the clear-cut villain is the guy that was trying to tear apart the team. No, look, if you think Stark was wrong, I'll never argue in that because that's a matter of opinion. I won't argue that. But a villain.
There's been 27
Trevon?
Movies.
Really?
I was very close. It was way more than what you were thinking.
No, I said 25, 26.
You said 20.
I clearly said 25 or 26.
All right, you were 1 off. I was only 3 off. There you go. So we're right there. We're right in the middle.
And I didn't go over, so you lose.
And you didn't go over. Okay. No. Time out. There's only 27 counting what we've had to date, including Spider-Man. Spider-Man, Eternal, Shang-Chi.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15.
I don't know what AJ's counting.
I guess it's Blu-ray.
No, it's been 27 to date.
And you have No Way Home, Shang-Chi, and Eternals.
I counted them, but I don't have Spider-Man No Way Home. That's the only one I don't have yet.
Okay, so including that, it's still 27.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. It still seems low as shit.
But if we count
this universe,
but if we count the series, then yeah, it's over.
No, hold on. 27 sounds, bro. The MCU's existed since 2008. It's 2022. There was a point where we were having like 3 movies a year, and there's still only 27.
27. According to Google. According to Google, it's 27.
That doesn't feel low.
MCU movies.
I'm not arguing that. I'm with you on that, but that doesn't sound low to you guys.
No.
It sounds low as shit. It sounds like I should be hearing there's 66 movies in the MCU. But all right. Yeah, so we'll do that, Mr. E and Seth Morrison. Wait, what did Seth Morrison say? Zemo was definitely the villain, but I'm Team Cap. Yeah, like I said, I won't argue what side you align yourself with, but there was one clear-cut villain, and that's not even to be debated. Jane is going to be on my list as a villain or as costume looks. You remember my suggestion about best costumes in comic book movies? Mr. E, we did a whole stream the other day. We literally devoted Friday's episode to best costumes in comic book movies.
It wasn't just comic book movies, but yeah.
It wasn't, but we literally dedicated a day to you, Mr. E. I'm very hurt that you weren't even part of that stream. Like, we dedicated a full episode just to your
I think he was a part of that stream. He just wanted to bring it to light by joking.
Oh, okay. All right.
Maybe. I'm like, that's why.
We definitely did it for sure. Like, we didn't cover any other topics really. We just did that. Comic book looks. but yeah, so we'll do one where we break down villains. Oh, he said he wasn't on the stream long. Okay, yeah, we definitely dedicated an episode to your mystery. We gave you shout outs and everything. But yeah, make sure you guys tune back in tonight at 7:00. Shout out to Jayla. We will be doing the best of remakes or the good, the bad, and the ugly of remakes and reboots. So stay tuned for that. I can't wait to see what some of you guys' picks for reboots and remakes are that you liked or didn't like. I'm very, 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 very intrigued into seeing what a lot of people's calls are. I will say I'm a fan for remakes and reboots. Every generation should have a version of something that's iconic.
I do. Right? I did watch a horror movie last night. Stay Alive, the video game movie.
Mm-hmm.
I would actually love that to be a remake into this generation. That would be a pretty good movie, especially since video game movies and video games in general are on a high rise.
I honestly believe some things just don't age well. And what I mean by age well is not to us, but to the next generation, right? Mm-hmm. Like if I had a son or a daughter, I wouldn't make them watch the old Mary Poppins. I'd pop on the newer Mary Poppins. You know what I'm saying? Because there's just so much visually that's newer that they can kind of like, understand than like an old ass movie where it's just like, all right, I don't like the pacing. I don't like the visuals. So to me, always upgrade, give them a newer concept of things. Like a lot of kids, to them, Lion King is what the live action just was. I have no problem with that. Aladdin, it's what the live action was. I have no problem with that. I would have done things differently for both of those movies. But I truly have no problems with any of that. So we'll get into that later tonight, but I want to give a shout out to Jamie, shout out to Sith Morrison, shout out to Mr. E. Jamie, you were prepared for Friday's episode. You did great. Stop it. Sith Morrison, we'll see you tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern time. We will be going live again to break down the good, the bad, and the ugly of remakes and reboots. Thank you guys for tuning into this chat. I needed to give AJ a chance to kind of voice his grievances in a calmer way.
I needed it.
He needed to get it out. And as you guys see, we handled this with no yelling, no screaming. We just voiced our opinions. That was it.
I had to let some of my anger out last night. I just had to let it.
AJ let that clip off 4:00 in the morning. 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, he was spraying like Tony Montana at the end of Scarface. He was letting that thing ring. So I just needed to give him a better place to kind of voice it. So thank you guys for listening. We appreciate you. I want to thank AJ and Trevon. See, Trevon, I told you, not knowing about the character, I always open up the topic, right? So it's more inviting than just like, oh, I know I read the book or I didn't read the book. I told you all the time, always join. Always open it up so you can have a spot to kind of voice your opinion.
I feel like I can't add anything to it. I was like,
I will never put you in a place. I was just
saying they look cool. That was it.
Nah, I'll never put you in a place. I'll never put you in a place where you can't give much of an opinion. I'll always open it up for you. That's why we talked about more looks than just gore. But shout out to you guys. Love you guys. And we'll see you later on tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern.